We're still over a month out from New World's launching, and already the game is in the middle of controversy over the cash storefront that Amazon Games plan to introduce to the game, with microtransactions as a part of it. This video is going to be my take on the microtransactions discussion in New World, borrowing both from the article on the game's website introducing our in-game store, and the open letter posted by the game's director Rich Lawrence on Twitter, both of which I'm going to link in the description below. I'll note up front as well that Amazon Games say they're contemplating a battle pass and optional expansions at a separate cost, both of which are separate issues for a later video when there's more detail on those, because this video is going to look specifically at microtransactions and the storefront that we're going to see in the game in the short to medium term, rather than those longer term plans. With that in mind, I'm Hawkmoon Hero. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and feel free to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/HawkmoonHero, where I plan to be streaming New World very soon. For the purpose of this commentary, I'm going to be taking Amazon Games at their word. I think it's better to look at what the developers have said than to unfairly dogpile or speculate on what they're going to do, but I'm definitely still going to point out where there's ambiguity and what that ambiguity could imply or allow for. Firstly, there's controversy over the existence of a storefront in any sense whatsoever in games like New World or MMOs in general. Lots of gamers, myself included, would prefer for a game to consist of a single one-off purchase, possibly a subscription, but for all players to be on a level playing field when it comes to obtaining both cosmetic and non-cosmetic items beyond that point. Having a microtransaction-based storefront provides a system that harasses players to spend more money and makes the game feel incomplete or hollow in various ways if they don't. Or even if they do, because the amount of money that can be spent is huge and the demand from the game seemingly endless. I never spend a penny on microtransactions personally, so constantly being asked to do so with pop-ups, emails, and in-game traders or menus in like a variety of games is really frustrating. I wish there was a way to opt out of this entirely and remove the store menu from my version of the games I play, so you could have essentially the game without the storefront because you've clicked a tick box to opt out. But that's not something that any developer is ever going to do, because they want to nag you into spending money, essentially. To bring things back to New World specifically, though, in response to the controversy over microtransactions after Amazon Games outlined what they would entail, the studio director Rich Lawrence put out an open letter about microtransactions on Twitter. In this, he claims that the developers do not want to create a feeling that store items are necessary to enjoy the game, and wants to be clear that all players will be able to play the full game experience we ship without having to make store purchases. I think we can fairly assume that at launch, at least, all players in New World will be on an equal footing when it comes to gameplay and leveling, in both a PvE and PvP sense. If you're excited for launch in particular, like myself, you can still probably be excited for launch without worrying that microtransactions are going to be something that will wholesale ruin the game from day one. It's worth looking at this controversy with a longer term view though, to try to read between the lines and see what might happen in the game's future, and how I think the community should look at the potential issues with microtransactions in the game. These are just my opinions, but I think I speak for a lot of gamers who are concerned about New World going in. So let's talk about cosmetics first. New World's developers have said that they want everyone to be able to experience the entire game, and that the store's items at launch will therefore be, direct quote, exclusively cosmetic. Here's how they explain that on the site. At launch, we'll offer themed cosmetic items across a variety of categories, visually on par with our in-game gear, such as large list of things that I'm not going to read out, but it includes weapon skins, decor, pets, emotes, etc. We won't consider selling anything other than cosmetic items until 2022 at the earliest. So, I have a problem with this, because in my opinion, cosmetics are content, and hear me out on this. There's a school of thought that as long as you're able to play all the missions and activities in the game, a cosmetic storefront is acceptable because it doesn't preclude players from playing the game, but allows players to decorate or jazz up their character by paying an extra fee to support them. I have 3 problems with this argument. Firstly, in an MMORPG especially, the appearance of your character, house, pet, etc. are a part of the game's content. They feed the fantasy of creating your character and making them feel badass, and they change how the game feels for you when you're playing it. If cosmetics weren't meaningful, no one would buy them. Therefore, they are a meaningful part of the game and should therefore be treated as content. Pretending they don't matter while also trying to sell them as if they do is a bit disingenuous. Secondly, MMOs invariably have cosmetics which are obtained through activities. A cash shop gives the developers an incentive to make the gameplay-based cosmetics worse in order to push people towards the more exciting microtransaction cosmetics. This might be through boring cosmetics in-game, or it might be by making cosmetics rarer or harder to get from in-game sources. Regardless, the point to be made is that the presence of a cash store gives developers a clear incentive to reduce the quality or availability of in-game cosmetic content as a way of nudging players to pay for better looking stuff that comes at a cash fee. Now, to be fair to New World, the devs have anticipated this critique and have said the following along with a screenshot comparison of in-game and in-store gear that I'm throwing up on screen. Our goal is not to make the cosmetics offered in-store better, but different than existing gear. We understand players work hard to get their gear and have no intention of diminishing the value of their favourite pieces. Often the store items are additive for role players and players who like to change their appearance frequently. So, ignoring the fact that this contradicts the idea that cosmetics don't affect gameplay, because role-playing is absolutely a form of gameplay in the MMORPG genre, where the RP literally stands for role-playing, this might be okay. It indicates that the devs are keeping player frustrations in mind, though I don't know what difference it'll make. It's something we're just gonna have to wait and see, I suppose. A third thing is that in its worst form, this kind of cosmetic-based marketing tack is usually driven towards so-called whales. Individual players that will spend potentially thousands of dollars on a game's cosmetics because of a cocktail of loving the game, which is good, and aggressive or manipulative marketing towards those players, which isn't so good. Whales are at best extremely rich players, which means that you're marketing a game towards the 1%, or at worst are financially irresponsible and being aggressively targeted by marketing that's making them make purchases that they cannot afford. Either way, this is a morally bankrupt way to fund a game. As much as I don't like the cosmetic side of the microtransaction market, I think this is kind of a lost argument to an extent. Paid cosmetics in MMOs are here, they're in World of Warcraft, they're in Destiny, they're in RuneScape, and they don't seem to be going away anytime soon. Players should be against it, but I really don't see the devs rolling back on this, though I very much do wish they would. What's more significant though, and also definitely more problematic, is what I'm going to call gameplay relevant microtransactions, which are a lot murkier. So even if we accept the argument that cosmetics aren't a part of gameplay, by the way, I still dispute that that's the case, but let's pretend I don't. We still have a problem with the indisputably gameplay relevant microtransactions in an MMO game. So-called pay-to-win or pay-to-skip mechanics that cause a litany of problems and fundamentally make games worse in a number of ways. As I've said, and to be fair to Amazon Games, these aren't going to be in New World at launch because the devs have said they won't consider selling anything other than cosmetic items until 2022 at the earliest. But that means, on the contrary, that they will consider selling those things after the start of 2022. They have also said, to be fair to them, quotes, "The in-game store content will not give players an advantage in PvE or PvP gameplay. Our goal is to not provide anything that players find to be pay-to-win for in-game store offers. No items in the store will give players instant lifts to their overall gear score, experience points, or impact territory control. No item in the store is a gate to experiencing game mechanics. Players should never feel they have to spend additional money to experience New World once they purchase the game, as the price you pay at launch lets you play the entire released game." That might sound really contradictory, so let's look at what they give us to kind of work with in terms of what that'll look like. They've mentioned boosts on the website, and Rich Lawrence's letter on Twitter said the game might eventually include, quote, "quality of life items for mechanics like rested XP and fast travel, both obtainable in-game and purchasable in the store." My thoughts on this. So, firstly, character level boosts, right? Boosts and the like seem benign sometimes, and they can be a way of rushing people's second or third accounts, or their friends' accounts to the endgame. That's not the end of the world in a vacuum, but it does have wider implications in the game. If you're able to boost to the endgame, it cheapens the journey, and it gives developers a reason to not want to refresh content, or make sure it works right on the way there. They're kind of a band-aid for bad content, but also they make you pay for the content being bad or outdated. It's not good that this is the case, and my take is like, you shouldn't have to pay more to have to pay less content. If boosts are going to exist in New World, or any game to be honest, they should be free. Otherwise, they shouldn't be there because of the fact that they're essentially allowing you to pay to skip content that's no longer engaging because it's no longer engaging, rather than that content being spruced up or made engaging in some kind of way. I just think evergreen content is better, and I realize that's a hard goal for game devs to aspire to, but I don't think a cash fee is the correct band-aid for that. I think if you are going to make content that runs out of being interesting after a while, you should at least give players the ability to skip that for free to get to the stuff that you think they should be wanting to play. The use of the term quality of life is even worse for me here. So fundamentally, if a game can make quality of life improvements for the player, they should do that without charging. Making you pay for rested XP or for fast travel is like the developer saying, hey, this is a thing in the game that's frustrating, we get it, we fixed that problem, but you have to pay more to get it fixed. So you're getting a version of the game that the developers acknowledge to be subpar, but with a cash fee and a per use one at that to fix the subpar mechanic. In a game, I will remind you that you have actually already paid for to begin with. In this context, microtransactions are an artificial barrier to the optimal quality of life in a game that is being imposed by the developers in order to make you want to pay money to get rid of things they have actually designed to be frustrating. This is insane. They incentivize developers to make imperfect content with flaws that are there literally to frustrate you into paying more. Looking at the two examples that Amazon games have given, rested XP bonuses and paid fast travel are both ways of slowing down your progress unless you pay for them. There's no need to give you an XP throttling after your rested bonus expires, nor is there a reason to make you pay for fast travel systems that exist in the game and that could be used for free, if not for the fact that they just want to charge you for them because, like, slow travel is frustrating. Bad, bad, bad. And to be fair, Amazon games have indicated that they want to provide these things for both an in-game or a cash cost. My concern is the balance and what the in-game cost is going to be. RuneScape notionally lets you pay for membership with an in-game cost, but it would take hours and hours in order to obtain that. I just want to see how this balance works out, but I'm really skeptical of this. I think bad quality of life in games shouldn't be something that's solved with a cash cost. It should be something that's solved with developers just, like, improving the quality of life mechanics. And finally, Amazon games have indicated that they don't want the balance of these transactions to make the game pay to win, and to be fair to them, I believe that. But if this goes wrong, I could see it going very wrong, especially in New World. New World is a game based around competing factions and companies that want to dominate areas of the map and to win large-scale wars. I don't want a game, I don't think most players want a game, where spending money can make you more likely to win one of these conflicts by, for example, bankrolling a higher number of max-level accounts in your faction or company. I also have no idea how pay-to-win or pay-to-skip mechanics might interact with the game's in-game economy in the long run, but I assume the answer will be, at best, not much, and at worst, a lot, and negatively. If you're getting into New World and you want to play for the long haul, this is definitely something that should concern you. I don't think that Amazon games are the worst offenders in the genre, cough, Black Desert Online, cough, but they're getting off on the wrong foot with players before their games even come out. Let's hope they make a complete U-turn and remove microtransactions entirely, but if that doesn't happen, and let's face it, it's not going to happen, let's at least hope that they keep them cosmetic only and that they don't water down the in-game cosmetics too much because of them. Either way, thanks for watching, see you in Eternum. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I've been Hawkmoon Hero, and peace out.